We'll declare the Selectmen's meeting for Wednesday, October 24th, 2018 to be open. First item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment? Being no public comment, second item of the agenda is the review of minutes for 10/3/18. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motions made and seconded to approve the minutes of the October 3rd, 2018 meeting. There any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed? Motion's carried. Next item on the agenda is a continuation of the earth removal permit public hearing, which was continued from the last meeting for 10 Shore Lane. Rogerio Tiexara da Silva, doing business as Wise Home Building. It's my recollection that we put off the decision on this so that the board could deliberate. Anybody have any comments on the Board of Selectmen?
Mr. Chairman, I reviewed the letter in our package that addressed our concerns regarding the permit, and I believe the way the applicant addressed it is satisfactory. It's my opinion that we should grant him the permit subject to a couple of conditions.
Okay. Any other members of the board?
I just said, I'm just curious that, how come there was so much loom there? I know obviously they're, putting in foundations, that type of stuff. How come there was so much left over on your lot and not other lots? I guess is my question.
I think it's because of the original plans, they proposed to remove even more of the lot. The plan approved after the development was to have the top of the foundation at a level of 359.
And they took more out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we decided, talking also with other neighbors because of problems with, water coming to the other lots,
Okay.
to take out from there a little bit less. Then we propose another plan, that is the most recent one, to keep the top of the foundation at 365. So we can remove less now in this condition.
Okay.
But the original plans was to remove more.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anything else? There's nothing else. Is there a motion on
Mr.
that
Chairman,
matter?
I make a motion that we grant the gravel removal permit to the applicant, subject to two qualifications. One, that the gravel removal is limited to the surplus stockpile at the rear of the property, that the grades on the drawing become finalized, and most importantly, and this is the biggest concern that I have, and I want to make sure it's included in the permit, is that not only at completion, but from today to completion, adequate efforts be made to retain surface water runoff on the property so that there's no stormwater flowing onto the road or onto your neighbor's properties, and no mud, silt, that type of thing. I did drive up there and I walked the property, and it's apparent to me that your efforts right now are not 100% up to where they need to be to keep the problems from affecting your neighbors. So I'd be in favor of issuing the permit, subject to he doing the necessary work to manage stormwater runoff.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to grant the gravel removal permit subject to the requirements as specified by Mr. Connolly. There any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just a point of clarification. Who would be policing that? Is that a building inspector thing? That he's meeting these standards.
The code enforcement officers.
Any other discussion? I just have a question. Mr. LeBlanc was here at the public meeting and requested that we require the applicants to repair the road after or to repave the road after the work was done. I thought that request was excessive. But in the event that there is some damage done to the road, Could we put that?
Yeah, I think that'd be a reasonable qualification.
Yeah, I
Any
also,
damage done to the road will be repaired.
yeah, just to be clear that the road is not perfect now. I video record the conditions of the road. Okay, if it's more than that, it's okay for me to repair. But I will not repair the old problems that they have in the street, because it's.
So, without objection of the board, we'll add that fourth,
Absolutely.
requirement. You've got three, right?
3. yeah.
Three, and that'd be a fourth. Okay. Any other discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried. Well, good luck.
Best of luck
Did
to
you
you.
want this back?
No,
Okay, we'll keep it then.
Well, no, we had the public comment portion of the public hearing last, 2 weeks ago. And we continued the meeting to give the applicant an opportunity to submit to us or discuss, particularly with Mr. Connolly, how he would meet the various criteria required for us to issue that permit. And that was the sole reason for the continuance, and he has done that, Mr. Connolly.
Mr. Chairman, you did close the public hearing component at the last meeting. It's recorded in the minutes as such, and the only thing open at the time, the continuation was of our meeting and our deliberation, and public comment had already been closed.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to mention, we were away in Virginia and obviously didn't have time to attend this meeting, so that's why I'm asking.
Okay. So you're all set.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Good luck, sir.
Best of
Michael
luck to
will
you.
forward the required permit to you, and,
Yeah, I'll just talk to him.
okay.
Good luck.
Take care.
Next item on the agenda is administrative business. And, is that right? Yeah, late night closings. The following establishments are requesting late night closings for Saturdays in the month of November: Clinton Turn Verine, Crystal Cafe, Liberty Tavern, Ringside Cafe, Spruce Street Tavern, The Simple Man Saloon, and the Polish American Club. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we grant the late night closings to the following establishments listed.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to grant the late night closings. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried. We have the fire chief's, Michael Luce's monthly report for September 2018. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the fire chief's monthly report.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to accept and approve the fire chief's monthly report. Is there any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried. Water sewer trash abatement, Superintendent of Public Works Christopher McGowan has submitted a list of water sewer trash abatements in the amount of $6,456.73 from the last billing cycle for action by the Board of Selectmen. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve the water sewer trash abatements as submitted by the Superintendent of Public Works.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve those tax abatements. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried. Next item on the agenda is old and new business. The annual Downtown Clinton Halloween Walk is going to be tomorrow evening, October 25th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m., and the Discover Clinton is requesting permission to close portions of High Street and Church Street for that event. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to grant to Discover Clinton the permission to close portions of High and Church Streets. Is there any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, motion's carried. And let me just say that this is a very enjoyable event. I go every year with my grandchildren. I'll be there tomorrow night. It's quite a lot of fun, so if you have kids at home, or you just want to go down and have dinner in one of the restaurants and watch the fun outside, it's quite a nice event. The Crystal Club Charity is having a 5K fun run. Mrs. Barbara Ranieri is requesting approval to conduct the 4th Annual Crystal Freeze 5K Walk Run in Clinton on January 5th, 2019, to raise funds for the Crystal Club charity. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the fundraiser.
Second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the 5K run for the Crystal Club on January 5th, 2019. There any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried. VFW Post number 523 is requesting permission to conduct their annual Buddy Poppy Drive at the intersections of High and Church on Saturday, November 10th, between the hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is to solicit donations for the Veterans Relief Fund that assists veterans. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we grant permission to the VFW Post 523 to conduct their annual Buddy Poppy Drive.
Second.
A motion's made and seconded to allow the VFW to conduct their annual Poppy Drive on November 10th. There any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried. We have a request from the Gales Booster Club for their annual Thanksgiving bonfire. They're requesting permission to have a bonfire at Clinton High School on Wednesday, November 21st, 2018, for the community to support the high school football team. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded to approve the request of the Clinton Booster Club to have their annual Thanksgiving bonfire. There any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried. National opioid litigation. The town solicitor would like to update the Board of Selectmen on action taken by the Law Committee to engage a firm involved in civil litigation against those responsible for the opioid crisis. Town council was not able to be here tonight, but with Michael's assistance, I would be happy to give a short update. At the last Law Committee meeting, which happened about a month ago, Mr. Gibbons suggested that the town join a number of towns that have filed suit against the pharmaceutical companies for the purpose of getting back some of the money that the cities and towns have spent on the opioid crisis, primarily through the police and fire departments. And the Law Committee agreed that we should do that. Mr. Gibbons was going to check with various other firms. He got a solicitation from a firm. He was going to talk with the various firms that are doing this, and he has done so, and he will have, I guess, a more formal presentation for us at the next meeting. Anything I missed, Michael?
No, that sounds good. As you mentioned, the Law Committee had reviewed, but Town Council wanted to be sure the Board of Selectmen was aware of this before they signed any contract to go forward.
Great. Is there any questions about that or comments? The town administrator would like to provide a final quote. This is the consolidated financial software. We've discussed it a few times here. The town administrator would like to provide a final quote from Tyler Technologies for the purchase of software to consolidate municipal financial operations in Clinton. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to kind of bring their final proposal to the board for the financial software. Tyler Technologies, which operates the Munis program, which many communities in Massachusetts, it's a nationwide company, but many communities in Massachusetts are using this product now. It's become kind of more of the dominant, kind of widely accepted financial software in Massachusetts. So we had a committee of all our financial offices, the schools that were going to be affected by this. They've been meeting kind of for the past year, interviewing different firms that provide this service, and then also meeting numerous times with this company to kind of drill down what features that we thought would be good to try to, for cost containment. They have a lot of features. It'd be great to have everything, but we have to really look at what we're gonna use right away for the price that we're paying. So we focused on, obviously, the financials, the accounting, the utilities, because all the water billing and tax collections and water billing and the accounting system will all be part of this. So that's what we focused on primarily. But then this final proposal, we did ask to put a price in there for the human resource portion and payroll as well too. So the treasurer is open to having us do payroll through this system. And with the human resource director coming on board and creating that department, we felt that this would help in that endeavor as well too. So these couple of modules we did add at the end. So this is kind of the final proposal that the committee was recommending to the board. It's going to take a long time to implement. What we will hope is by next fiscal year, by July 1, to have the accounting piece in place. But to have everything totally done, it probably would be, at the end of next fiscal year. But the biggest part would be the chart of accounts and all the accounting, and that will be done for July 1 for next year. So there's going to be a lot of data conversion, a lot of training, and then operationally, once we get ready, we'll be running two systems until everything gets switched over. So it's a huge, huge undertaking, and that's why we took a long time to make sure we're really getting the right product, but also getting everybody on board, all the departments, because it's going to be, every department's going to have a huge investment in order to make this work. Everybody was enthusiastic about it. I think, at times a little intimidated by the big nature of it and the amount of effort it's going to take to kind of get everything running smoothly. But I think everyone sees this as what's going to be best for the town and for the future of the town. So we're really looking forward to getting it on board. It's well within the budget that was approved at town meeting, and then there will be an annual maintenance cost going forward. But all our current systems right now, we're paying all that annual maintenance we're paying on all our separate systems will be all rolled up into paying the annual maintenance on this. So it will allow now the school, their whole financials will come on board. It will allow all departments to submit all their invoices electronically. We'll have less data, dual data entry that will be taking place between departments, a lot less opportunity for error, human error, and data entry. And also much more information available. So now there'll be dashboards, there'll be real-time information that departments can pull up and see where they're at, and hopefully allow us to be more efficient once it gets up and running. So, so with that, I'd like to present the proposal. If it's something the board is supportive of, we can go forward to getting a contract for the town council to review, and then come back for the final contracts to be signed and approved by the board at a upcoming recent, hopefully a soon meeting coming soon, because once we make the commitment, we'll really get on board to start developing those chart of accounts for July 1, which will take, they said, probably 6 to 9 months to get all that, to get that process done. So it'll allow us to be ready for July 1.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, any questions from members of the board?
Do we need a motion of support from the board, or?
I think if the board would be willing to go forward, to give us a motion to go forward with this proposal, and then we can bring a final contract back. So it would be kind of a preliminary approval, I guess, to allow the company to develop the contract and let them know that we are committing to go that route, and that what it takes them to develop the contract, and then town council the time for him to review, to know that we're doing this with kind of everybody's support.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that the board authorize proceeding with the consolidated financial software package.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to move forward with the consolidated financial software. Is there any discussion?
Just under discussion, I'd just like to thank Michael and the rest of everyone that served on that to help out with that study and get everything done. It was a good team effort, so I just want to thank Mike and everyone involved in it. Goes to show you can get stuff done if everyone works together. It'll be really good, so thank you, Michael, and thanks everyone involved.
Thank you, and I think I appreciate that all the departments' work that they did do come together, because there were a lot of, everyone was very upfront and gave their views, and, at the beginning, we had a lot of different points of view on it, but as we saw all the demonstrations, and we saw the capabilities and what our needs were, knowing that this was gonna be a big project, I think, people really kind of, by putting in that time and effort and discussing it, we all got to that same point of feeling this is what's best for Clinton right now. So, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that,
Yeah.
because it was a good process, I
Yeah.
think, so.
And also to the town meeting, to the voters there, voted for it. It's a good investment. I think they're going to be pleased with the results. So,
Yeah.
thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Any,
Thank you.
any other discussion? There being none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
And opposed, motion's carried.
Thank you.
Next item is the Conservation Commission alternate. Town solicitor is reviewing a request from the Conservation Commission for the Board of Selectmen to create an alternate member for their commission that can be available to help make quorum for meetings similar to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Michael?
Mr. Chair, I did get some information. The solicitor did forward me some information this afternoon. Since he wasn't able to be here, he was going to provide an update to the board himself, but he had a change of plans. So what he did say through his research, that under Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8C, that Conservation Commission shall consist of not less than 3 nor more than 7 members. However, he said the statute does not provide for alternate members. He said, as such, it appears that in order to have alternate members, it appears we would need special legislation, which a number of towns have done. So there are towns, and I know some of the members of the Conservation Commission did speak to the ability that other towns do this, but through his research, and as one here, which was done by the town of Charlton, that they did add alternates for their Conservation Commission, but it was done through a
Special
home rule petition through special legislation. So I can, contact the Conservation Commission, and if they have more other information about towns doing this with, other than the special legislation process, I'll certainly, find out that. But it appears through town council's review is that the statute doesn't speak to it, and towns that have done it, that he's seen, have done it through home rule petitions. So.
Mr. Chairman, was there any opinion on the issue of if there were alternate members, do they have to be present from the beginning of discussions in order to participate? In other words, they'd have to show up at every meeting.
Exactly. Town council did, after he sent me the email, he did call me, and he did say, that is a factor. You're
Okay.
exactly right, Mr. Conley, because he did say, would that still solve their problem? If you can add to increase the board to get more members, but when you increase the board,
You
now the
increase the
quorum
quorum
is higher.
requirement,
So,
right.
but then if you do have alternates, they do need to be there in the event someone doesn't show up, so they do get that information. So, because otherwise, they're no good to you if they don't sit in on the hearing, so
And
you're right.
The other half of that is, if a member's absent at the beginning, a regular member, they can't participate as well. So they've created a lack of quorum for the issue until it's resolved.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So now they have to sit on the sidelines for that issue.
Right.
You're right. Yep, so there's pros and cons to it both ways, so I'm certainly willing to follow up with this answer back to the conservation who requested it, and maybe ask some more of their thoughts about maybe how they would like to proceed at this point, and give feedback to the board from that.
Okay, do any other members of the board have any old items of old and new business they'd like to bring up?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a public note of Mr. Kittredge obtaining his certification and compliment him on his efforts to move forward with the town's treasurer-collector position.
I'm sure we all second that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed.
Congratulations, commitment to the town. Anything else? There being nothing, we'll move on to the next item, the agenda, which is goals and objectives. There anything to report on goals and objectives?
Mr. Chair, I don't know if this falls under goals and objectives or committee reports. Mr. Sargent had asked for an update on the tax classification subcommittee. We are meeting next Tuesday, the 30th, for what I expect will be our final meeting. After that, I'll put together a summary of any findings for the board to review in advance of our next meeting, which should give us a month before the tax classification hearing in December. Also, and one thing I saw in our packet related to that, the Mass Department of Revenue has approved preliminary certification of property assessments as a result of the recent evaluations. That information is on the town website for public review. If you have any questions, please take a look at it and contact the assessor's office before the December hearing. That's all I have on that.
Okay. Anything else on goals and objectives? Committee reports?
Mr. Chairman, just under committee reports, the cable committee met probably about 2.5 weeks ago. The main focus, I think, and obviously Selectman Kerrigan and Town Administrator Michael were over there as well. So by all means, jump in if I leave anything out. For the main topic was the getting a lot of the meetings onto online so people could view them, that type of stuff. So I think that was the main topic. Myself and Solicitor Gibbons was there as well. So it was a pretty good meeting.
How about the cable committee looking into like filming the finance committee and other boards and stuff like that? Well, the finance committee's not on TV and should be on TV just like the board of selectmen.
Yeah, if someone wanted to film it, sure. I mean, I know I think we talked to
Yeah,
Paul Morrison's class, they were doing different things like
yeah,
that,
we're
helping
open,
out
yeah,
here.
we're open to any committee that
Right.
wants to be filmed. I mean, there's planning, zoning,
Board
board
of
of health. You know, some towns do all of their boards and committees. You know, here we mostly do selectmen and school committee, but certainly if the board would like to be filmed, you know, just trying to, if they find someone that can volunteer, we can find someone that can cover it. Yeah, I mean, certainly we're open to that.
Yeah, I don't think any board wants to be filmed on TV, but I just think that's the right thing to do for the taxpayers.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I agree with Mr. Sargent, and it's my sincere hope that we ultimately get to that point. We've, on the subcommittee, we've looked at, the two challenges are equipment and manpower. So we're looking at now a proposal to wire the downstairs conference room so that the planning board and other meetings that happen down in the basement, they're able to be filmed. And we're also looking at ways to try and engage people to get more involved. If we don't have people who work the cameras, it's tough to get these things done, but it's certainly, with the options we have now, besides the cable, YouTube, and any of the online things that we've talked about, there's no reason for us not to have that kind of sharing with the public. And I do think that they deserve to see everything that's going on here, not just us in the school committee.
Yes.
Is there any precedent for hiring people as opposed to volunteers, creating a stipend position for a high school?
We pay.
Well, there is a precedent where currently, we did, a couple of years ago, start a co-op with the high school, with some high school students on trying to film more content, like even school content, you know, and they do help out with Old Home Day and other events like that. But even just like high school games or plays or shows or anything to get content on the TV. So we have an agreement with the school to have high school kids be paid to do that. So there is a precedent to set for that. So if there is a policy made that these boards are to be filmed or to be broadcast, then maybe we can expand that and see if there's more interest in a pool of high school students that can do it. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's terrific. I mean, the contract is gonna be up in a year, is that right?
next
November
fall.
19?
Yep.
No.
So we're looking now at, and it's a 10-year contract, so frankly, without getting too far in the weeds, the cable TV, the way people consume content is changing every year, and certainly going to change over the next decade. So what we're trying to do is not just look at the needs we have now, but try and bake that into the next contract, because it's going to be a totally different world over the course of the next 10 years. So our community now is looking at, what other towns are doing for best practices, and we just want to make sure that we leverage this contract as much as we can to get that information out there. So these are great questions, and the things we're looking at over the next year. I'm looking forward to, with Mr. Akabuchi, sharing what we come up with, and if you guys have any ideas, please don't hesitate.
Any other discussion on goals and objectives, or, committee reports?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Marketing, communication, we're tentatively scheduled for next Tuesday too. I just want to I was waiting on a couple other things, so I think everybody's on board. We'll have that posted later this week, and I'm looking forward to nailing down some easy recommendations for some, first pass at what we've been talking about, hopefully at our next meeting.
Is it at 7 PM time or 6:30, did we decide?
I think we're going to go 7 because
Okay.
I'm going to have soccer practice.
All right.
High priorities. I'll let you know.
We'll be posted anyways, and
Thank you,
people will
yes.
know.
Anything further? If there is nothing further, that concludes the agenda for this evening, and we'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, motion's carried. Thank you.